Welcome to Deep Dive, a place where we dive deep in the last week's sermon, looking at some of the things that might have hit the cutting room floor, places we want to spend some time, opportunities to look a little bit deeper into what's going on. Last week, we continued our series called Practicing the Way, looking at ways that Jesus practices the way and how we learn to follow after him. Our theme last week was revealing mercy, looking how Jesus lived that out, how he revealed mercy to people. One of the ways that we saw that, one of the highlights I said, is that Jesus reveals mercy by making time and space for others. In fact, he revealed mercy by seeing his schedule disrupted. Like he was on his way to deal with Jairus' daughter and the fact that she was dying, and his schedule was interrupted by this woman who had experienced bleeding for 12 years, pushing her way in the crowd, bumping up against people and reaching out to touch the hem of his garment. And Jesus stops everything in that moment to say, there is need and value here. Man, Jesus demonstrates value and reveals mercy by making space for people. Interesting in this story, Jairus comes, he's got his daughter who's 12 years old. In cultural context, she was almost to the place of being an adult, of being fully recognized as a woman. She'd almost entered into what would be her life. And this woman who had experienced constant bleeding for 12 years. She had lost that space of life for 12 years. And Jesus, he points these things out and highlights these things just to recognize the fact that he has value for all people. The picture in this breadth and width of Jesus' mercy for people, for Jairus, who is the synagogue leader, one of affluence and wealth, and then this woman who's experienced bleeding, who isn't even identified with a name, on the fringes and the margins, and Jesus stops everything to acknowledge her, to care for her, to speak identity and worth and value over her. It's interesting, the words that are captured in Luke chapter 8, this story that we read about at the end of Luke chapter 8, they're similar words that Jesus uses for a woman who it's identified as a sinful woman who comes and anoints Jesus' feet in a demonstration and an act of worship. And Jesus' words to both of these women are, daughter, like your faith has made you well, go in peace. The picture of their desire, recognizing who Jesus is and willing to give everything that they had, willing to push through the crowd, to face being ostracized and pushed to the fringes and the margins even more, the willingness to pursue Jesus, and Jesus recognizing them with value and worth. There's lots of times in life, I think many of us carry with us a weight of shame, a weight of regret in our lives for things we've done, places we've been, maybe things that have happened to us. And we carry with us this like cloak of shame and weight that hinders us and limits us. And into those places, Jesus wants to break in and call out our identity, calling us as sons and daughters. Man, that transforms how we live. If we are able to put aside, to allow Jesus to deal with the shame and the hurt and the pain, and we allow Jesus to enter into and speak to us an understanding of our worth and our value, to know that we are loved as sons and daughters, and he invites us into that relationship, a depth of knowing him, to understand a father's heart for us. Man, this story in Luke chapter 8, as Jesus reveals his heart for this woman who has experienced bleeding for 12 years, demonstrates God's desire for us to know and experience our worth and our value. That shame and unworthiness, that can be redeemed and restored by Jesus. And his desire to enter into, to see his life disrupted, that he would enter into those moments speaking value, to say, you are worthy. You are loved and you are known. Man, it is significant for us. I wonder how our lives would be different on two sides. One, if we would be people who would recognize the way he values us, the way he sees us as worthy and worth it. And if we understood and lived out of that, how might we be willing to reveal mercy to those around us? That we might be willing to speak value and worth into the lives of those that we cross paths with, the people that we work with, the people that maybe even annoy us in the checkout line or the pickup line as you drop your kids off at school, maybe the people that we see on the fringes and the margins of our society. What might transform and change if we first understood our worth and value to Him, and that we would offer a picture and display of mercy revealed for the world around us, loving and caring like Jesus loved, because we allow our lives to be disrupted by those around us. Good questions to wrestle with. As always, we'd love to connect with you. Hope you have a great week. Drop a line, drop a comment. We'd love to hear more from you and how this might challenge you and encourage you in your week.